Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cordamt and we are back for some more Pillars of Eternity with the Triple Crown difficulty settings. We are back at Head Nua after finishing up the DLC, so White March Part 1 and White March Part 2 have both been completed, optional quests included. And in the previous episode, I wanted to try and do the companion quests because we still have a couple of them. Like we have the one for people from the White March, and then we also have, for example, Palagina, we have the one for Hiravias, and we had the one for Sagani. And I actually did the one for Sagani. But I'll be honest, I wasn't really enjoying doing those quests because there's just a lot of dialogue that we're going to be catching up from that was supposed to be coming in from like way back in the story. In Sagani's quest there was even, I'm not sure if you can call it a bug, but a sequence error in the way that you talk to her about the quest. After completing her quest we had dialogue asking about what she would do in the quest, so it didn't make sense. I'm just gonna skip over them. Okay, that's just how it's gonna be. I don't think you guys would enjoy looking at me just suffering through it and not being particularly enjoyable to watch as well. With that out of the way, we are going to continue on our main quests. We had the nest above the clouds. This one is the one where the two clerics of Helia sent me to clear out the dragon in the nest. And then we also have the Court of the Penitents and the Council of Stars. So this is from the main campaign, the Hollowing of the Deerwood. So just to remember what we were doing, the Council of Stars, Shida and Rioan, the Delamgan of Helm's Reach, told me that Theos had destroyed the route from Ter Evron to Braith Iaman. To reach him, I will have to descend through the pit in the Burial Isle. That requires the aid of the gods. So the Delagan sisters explained that no mortal can survive the descent to Braith Eamon. The gods, however, can grant me safe passage. To ask for their favor, I'll need to pray to them in Ter Evron, where they are said to commune with mortals. Okay? And then we also have the Court of the Penitents. The Delagan sisters of Twin Helms know that Theos has escaped into a subterranean path to an Ingwithan location called Sun in Shadow, blocking access behind him. The sisters revealed to me another way to reach him, perhaps even overtake him. The Burial Isle offers a path through the ruins of an ancient Ingwithan prison, Braith Iaman. The route is perilous, but it may be the fastest way to Sun in Shadow, as it involves a long fall straight down. My hallucinated memories are becoming more frequent now, barely distinguishable from the waking world. I am running out of time. I need to know what Theos remembers about the past that we share, so that whatever it is that plagues my soul can be put to rest. So something important to mention here. If you are playing the game for the first time, or seeing somebody play the game for the first time, and you read this quest, and the impression that you get is that you have some kind of time restraint, right? It says right here, I'm running out of time, hallucinated memories are becoming more frequent, so you might feel the urge to try and finish the game as quickly as possible. That's, however, irrelevant. What's written here doesn't really matter. It's just kind of a lore reason or a story reason compelling you to continue on with the game. There is no time restraint. You can do whatever you want in the meantime, which is in fact what we did. After we got these quests, I went to do the White March Part 1 and White March Part 2, and those take some time, and a lot of in-game time also passes between them. So it doesn't matter when you do this, just don't worry about time on these quests. I've learned from Shida and Rion that the way into Sun and Shadow lies in the Burial Isle district. There is an ancient court there that can lead me to Theos. Dorval, guard and bargeman of Old Song, has told you that the Burial Isle is unlike any other district of Twin Helms. The island is a burial ground for the Anamphats of the Six Tribes, and a dangerous place. Something weird here. They always say something like, revealed to me, I have learned. And over here it says, has told you. Okay, just something inconsistent. Okay, so let us continue with our main quest. We also had the Yenwood Field Battle for Kednua, where we were victorious. We are now the official ruler of Kednua. So we have to go back to Helm's Reach. And we're gonna have to go into Ter Evron, which is a place that I avoided at the time. Because when I went there, I wanted to do it, you know, all in the same flow. I didn't want to go into Ter Evron to then go do the White March and then come back. So this is Ter Evron. This is where we spoke to the two Delamgan that the quest was mentioning. And this is the building that we still haven't gone into. We have completed the quests for the temples though. So these are them. Shida and Rianwen. So what does this place hold? It should hold a place that allows you to commune with the gods, which could be very interesting. Okay. So let's get ready for some lore here and some story. We have a lot of books over here. And I think the purpose for this is to give you some information on how these gods work, their beliefs and all those things. So right now I'm just taking them. Shattered and shard stone blocks the passage into sun and shadow. Yeah, so this is what Theos broke. And we also have a luminescent other shard. Crisp flashes of light run through this other shard, pulsing in its faceted core like veins of light fueled by a heart of fire. Okay. With this, I think we can interact with this crystal in the middle.
A divine contraption that I would dearly love to inspect.
And I do believe that this is what allows us to commune with the gods. A piercing ring fills your ears as you near Whale's shrine. There is no other response, because he was killed. Nothing happens when you approach Wodika's shrine. I don't think she cares about us. But then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 other shrines. And I believe these are the shrines of Rirmagand, Galawain, Helia, and... who am I missing? I don't know. Berath. So let me just see here. I think I have a book talking about Berath. Here. The Many Faces of Berath. How fitting that we know the god of cycles, doorways, mortality, and inevitability as Berath, while the Valians know this very same god as Sirono. For if nothing else, Berath teaches us that duality exists in all things. There is life in death, and death in life. Embrace this duality and you honor Berath. In the runes en Lanfath, Berath is depicted in the form of 2 semi-skeletal figures, one male, one female. Beunen I Anko and Anko I Beunen, literally life in death and death in life in the Glanfadan tongue. Male and female, inside and out, life and death. We often think of Berath by imagining 2 sides of a coin, or the 2 endpoints of a journey. It's said that Berath has the most petitioners of every god, and this is likely true. Who amongst us has not prayed for the cycle to hiccup? Who has not, in a moment of sadness, yelled at Berath to make an exception for our fallen loved ones? Berath may not rescue our loved ones, but it answers our prayers in its own divine way. Berath is the god that makes life end in death, and it is also the god that makes death end in life. Berath, Sirono, Beunen I Anko I Beunen, whichever of the many names you prefer to use, deserves our prayers, for it has given us the promise of life's eternal renewal. Okay. And with this, let's see what we find here. Before this shrine sits the constellation of a snarling hound, fangs bared. So this is Galawain. This shrine sits before a bright constellation, its stars forming the oval shape of an egg. A pair of wings sprout from the egg, stretching out to either side. In the glittering shards of the nearby constellation, you see the grim shape of a skull. Its jaws are open wide, as if frozen in a silent scream. So this is Berath. And finally, we have Rimmergand. In the nearby constellation, you can make out the shape of a strange horned beast. From time to time, you think you see a faint chill emanating from the shrine itself. Okay, so we're going to talk to Helia first. Let's pray to Helia. Ah, crap, okay. You step before the shrine and prepare to recite the ritual words. Let me see what we have here. All things can be reforged. This sounds like Abaddon. There is life in death and death in life. This is Berath. Survival begins with strength from within. Sounds like Galawain. Live every note of life's song. This sounds like a hippie god. Struggles are of fundamental nature. I sing of the ocean's sorrow so that I might forget my own. This is Ondra. All life ends in stillness. This sounds like Rimmergand. Tomorrow my master chokes on his own whip. I have no clue. What is an answer without a question? When Wodica takes back her thrones, all wrongs shall be righted. Okay, so I don't actually know which one is Helios. Let me see if I have any more clues here. This is Berath. Jonas. So this is Skane, I think. The queen that was and still is, this is Wodica. The midwife's memoirs. The Queen of Birds. My mother lived every note of life's song. Bringing me into this world was her last verse. For this, my father scorned me and abandoned me. And for this very same fact, my town's midwife, an adherent of Helia, raised me as her own. When I came of age, I learned that Helia visits us on the screams of women in childbirth. And when a woman dies giving life to her child, her soul is carried away and reborn as an avian attendant of Helia's court. Through the miracle of the Queen of Birds, my mother has been with me, watching over me my whole life. I fear the fetish charms of the cloud singer, the bird I dreamt my mother became. My feathery trinkets look gaudy and unbecoming, but it is a signal fire to women in need that I am a trained midwife, blessed by Helia and living every note of life's song. The Queen of Birds wills us to shepherd new life into the world, and not, as the other gods so often desire, to end it. A follower of Magran once mocked my fate, saying I worshipped paintbrushes and birds, piddling things beneath the gods. I do not resent the other gods and the brutal necessities that they must oversee, but is not language, love, the arts, and creativity that which separates us from simple beasts? Helia allows us to rise above our savage feral selves. I am often amused that, upon seeing our holy aviaries, visitors frequently ask, "This is nice, but where is the real temple of Helia?" Perhaps they think hallowed ground requires oppressive stoneworks and ceilings that hide the sky. They do not realize that the bird queen stands not on ceremony. She makes herself manifest in the music of birds and in beauty of the ubiquitous open sky. Helia prefers the worship of two children singing over 1,000 petitioners silently praying for victory. The Sky Mother asks so little of us, and yet so much. We are charged to live every note of life's song. It surprises me how many fail to embrace this divine calling. So I do believe that Helia is the good god from all of these. Berath isn't bad, in my opinion. It's just balance. It's pure balance. Galawain is a little bit too savage for my taste, and Rimmergand is just kill everything. So yeah, let's pray to Helia, and in this case, live every note of life's song. Your words seem to ring in the air, your voice rendered melodic and lilting by some unseen art. You kneel. While you pray, you feel the space around your body shift and melt, and you find yourself in a vision of the mountaintop temple. Yet, you see neither worshippers nor a dragon, but a tree. Its limbs wrap around the perimeter of the temple, tapering into twigs and branches of all sizes and angles. They seem too long and too numerous to be held up by the meager trunk, but they hold steady in the breeze. A single sparrow lands on the nearest branch. It watches you. Let's whistle to the bird. You whistle the first tune that pops into your head. The sparrow blinks its beady eyes and hops closer to you along the branch. It bobs its tiny head and opens its beak, and the rich, thrilling melody that spills forth is the song of a chorus of birds. A massive flock descends with a thundering of wings and whooping, screeching, chirping calls. They fill the boughs of the tree by the thousands, birds of every shape, size, and color nestling next to one another. Kana gazes up in astonishment. Birds from every corner of the world! Look, I see some Rawatime razorbills! A breeze ripples through the air. The limbs sway, creaking with a strange, gentle rhythm. A few hundred of the birds flit from their branches, forming a brilliantly variegated flock in front of the tree. As they meet and swoop in unison, you catch a glimpse of someone looking back at you, cloaked by the flurry of feathers. Look there! The mantle of feathers! We are in the court of birds, and there stands the Sky Mother.
You journeyed to my temple and rid it of the dragon. Now my faithful may return, singing their joy to the skies and praising me through their creation.
So this ties back to the quest, the nest above or something, where we had to kill the dragon in Helios temple, and she recognizes for it. And you also get a bunch of experience. This is kind of the most honest one, but life is creation and celebration. I'm glad to have served you in this. The breeze blows through the tree. A dove tucks its head into its feathers and watches you.
Glad because you seek to protect life, or because you seek a patron. And yet you have proven yourself with this task. I would tell you of another.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm listening. The birds return to the tree and nestle among their peers. The breeze ripples through the branches again, carrying the goddess's voice.
You must stop Theos, and you must undo the tragedy he has wrought.
Okay, so we are in sync. The grieving mother rocks on her feet. There is a way, Watcher. There is hope yet. Oh, not voiced. Birds all over the tree begin to chirp and sing, and in the rise and fall of their voices, Helios speaks. Theos acts, but is moved by another. The exiled queen whispers in his ear, urges him to rob the living and the unborn of their souls for her benefit. And he has obeyed. So she's talking about Wodica. A hawk shifts on its perch. She will consume them, grow powerful while 1,000 empty children are born. But there is still time to reverse this tragedy. Why would Wodica do this? A pair of eagles shriek. Because she prizes authority over mercy, laws over kith. She values the souls of mortals not for the beauty they create, but for what they can add to her power. The wind blows cold. She fears animancy. She believes that mortals may use it to usurp the god's power, her power. She cares nothing for the innovation of kith, and how could she? She gives commands, not inspiration. So animancy truly is that powerful? Kana looks thoughtful. I've always respected the commands of our Ranganui and the Keepers, but that's because they inspire respect. Between command and inspiration lies progress. Okay. And how could I return things to the way they were? The bird suddenly falls silent, watching you. The voice on the wind returns. Guide the trapped souls back to the bodies they were stolen from. Hollow-born children whose eyes have never seen the sun. The grieving mother claps her hands once, setting off the music of chimes. After long years, let their wounds be healed, their tears dried. You could restore them. Give their families hymns of joy after years of lament. The breeze tickles your ear. Peace and restoration give purpose to suffering. There is no meaning, no redemption in pain that does not lead to fulfillment. Symmetry demands that great rejoicing follows suffering such as this. Man, and this is why I say that the writing of the main campaign I think is a lot better than the DLC. At least in certain aspects. But this is excellent to me. I'm not sure it's possible to truly undo the harm. Perhaps it would be better to allow these souls to find new lives. Thank you, Helia. I mean, both of these are something that I'm thinking about. I'm not sure that it's possible to truly undo the harm Theos has caused. You hear the cry of a swift, soft, and plaintive. Perhaps the years cannot be forgotten, and for some, perhaps it is already too late. But if you could restore even one soul, kindle one spark of life, raise one voice in joy, it would be worth it. There's another side to this. His tone is cautious. You've seen the consequences of a soul disjointed from its own cycle. Could these children ever truly return? Perhaps it would be better to allow these souls to find new lives. The grieving mother gapes at you in horror. Give them first these lives, Watcher. Let them know the love of parents who waited for them, tended them, and let their return bring healing to the Deerwood. How can they continue to another when they have not fully lived this life? To pass them along to another now is cutting a stanza from a poem, a verse from the song. Okay. Thank you, Elia. I will continue to Sun and Shadow.
When you reach the burial isle, you will find souls there that I have granted reprieve for their sins. I give these to you, for only they can bear you to safety on your journey down.
Okay.
And when you face Theos and the rotting fruits of his endeavors, remember the conversation we have had. In that moment, you will have power rivaling a god's. And after it, you will live in the world that you have chosen. Choose Restoration, Watcher. Return the souls to the bodies they were stolen from. Swear to me that you will do this, and I shall give you power to make even Woodica quake. I can be merciful and terrible, Watcher.
I like her. The grieving mother's eyes are fever bright. Watcher, this is the hope I have held to, that the children of the Deerwood might be restored, their families healed. Let us bring Helia's restoration to this country. So there's actually something very cool about what's happening over here and the fact that there are other gods involved. And I'm speaking from memory because I've played this game both as a good person in a good playthrough, and I've also played as an evil person in an evil playthrough. But I've also read that, and I did this in my evil playthrough, I just didn't check out the results in Pillars of Eternity 2. You can actually swear to every single one of the gods. You can receive the blessing from all of the gods, and then you can betray them all. Which is actually very, very well done and very cool. And that carries over to Pillars of Eternity 2. Now, we're playing as a good person, so I don't intend on doing that. But it does make me want to play this game again as evil, and then do another run with Pillars of Eternity 2 and see what happens if we do that. In any case, I do agree with Helia here. What she intends to do is what I consider to be also probably one of the best choices. The other one is probably Berath. But I'm just gonna say I would hear what the other gods have to say first. You don't need to swear right now. Hear then and choose. All of the birds spread their wings and take flight. As they flock and swarm around you, you again glimpse someone watching you from within the maelstrom of feathers. Her glance is full of compassion and hope. The birds rise toward the sun. They blot it out, reminding you for an instant of a dragon and a shadow, but when your vision clears again, you are standing in Ter Evron. We have completed the nest above the clouds. I killed the dragon and worm, making the nest safe for Helia's followers again. Some things must die so that other creation can flourish. Well, we got a quest at this point in time? Okay. Let's check out Berath. So Berath, yeah, there is life in death and death in life. There is a rippling shift in the air around you, as if some unfelt wind has changed, bringing unexpected warmth. You feel the peculiar weight of an unseen presence and of eyes upon you. You kneel and pray to Berath. Even while your eyes are closed, you see a road that seems to stretch on forever. The stars wheel overhead in a clockwork rotation of constellations, disappearing over the horizon to your left, only to rise on your right. You try to make out the details on either side of the road, but your eyes can't seem to focus. One moment you think you see a meadow blanketed with mist, and another sheer canyon walls. For just an instant, you even see waves lapping at the edges of the road. Were you to step into the shifting landscape, you feel certain you would only end up back on the road. You know this is a vision, but the packed dirt feels firm beneath your feet and the night air cool on your face. You are walking. Your feet seem to carry you forward of their own accord. Something looms ahead of you. As you get closer, you see two stone figures that look strangely familiar. Beunen I Ankyo and Ankyo I Beunen, two of the oldest representations of Berath. You remember the door to Cliaban Rilag and the two figures carved into the mountain next to it. One looks vaguely male and the other vaguely female. Only a thin layer of flesh covers their skeletal bodies, which twist to face the doorway between them. The doorway, however, is not what you saw in the ruins. It's a skull, gaping and jawless, and as you look on, its open mouth seems to grow. The arms of the two stone sculptures are swept toward the mouth, inviting you in. Enter the skull's mouth. The road continues through the maw to another shifting landscape surrounded by stars. As you pass through it, you see an identical doorway in the distance. A dwarven man stands near it, unmoving. You turn and look behind you, only to see the skull gate you just passed facing you. An elven woman awaits in the road. Like the dwarf, she stands still. Let's approach the dwarven man, because I like dwarves. You continue down the road toward him. As you get closer to the man and see a strangely smooth face, you recognize him as Archdruid Restin. Just when he turns to look at you, his body splits like an old wineskin, spilling blood and essence onto the path. The empty husk of his corpse collapses onto the road. The blood pools around your feet and you look up to see the elven woman still waiting further along the road. Let's approach her. You start toward her. There's something unnatural about the way she stands. She's too still. When you get closer, you see that her legs taper into a slender trunk, and in place of her feet are gnarled, twisting roots. She lifts her face to an invisible sun. Her long golden hair is the color of autumn leaves, and as you look more closely, you realize that her head is actually covered with tendrils and vines sprouting brilliant yellow leaves. Each glimmers with the essence of an entire soul. She gives you a beatific smile. As you look on, the leaves slowly fall from her head and settle at her roots. They melt into the path beneath her, and almost immediately new leaves sprout in the place of the old. She reaches toward you, still smiling as roots spring from her fingertips. Her outstretched arms bar the path. Come, graft your soul to the golden grove. Let's take her hand. Her roots twine around your fingers, and as they do, they grow rigid and cold. Her outstretched arm petrifies, and as the rough stone bark overtakes her flesh, she can only look on in horror. You break away from her brittle grasp. Her feet are rooted in place, but she twists and writhes as if trying to flee her own dying limb. The petrification reaches her shoulder and spreads down her body, freezing it in a painful arc. It creeps up her neck, and she throws her face skyward like a drowning swimmer. The greyness covers her face, freezing her gasp in stone. Now that she is still and lifeless, you can continue past her. Only the golden leaves on her head remain untouched, and as you watch, they fall one by one to the path below. They shrivel as the shimmering essence fades from them. A voice echoes along the road, barely more than a whisper on the breeze. Return them to the wheel. You lift your gaze and see the skull gate ahead of you on the path. The candles of Ter Evron wing through the open mouth. We only get the option to leave. Or did we get a quest? A servant of death. Okay. Let's see here. Berath tires of mortals evading the natural cycle of death and rebirth. He showed me two individuals in particular, a dwarven man and an elven woman, who have extended their lives for centuries. Okay. So Berat, the god of death and rebirth, showed me a vision of an elven woman and a dwarven man stopped on a road. My touch slew them, and only then was I able to continue along the path. I think this is the god's way of telling me that these two individuals have cheated death for too long. Ending their lives would no doubt please Berath. The dwarf in the vision had an eerily ageless face, and he seemed to renew himself with the blood of others. He said something about the ethic knoll. When I learn who or what this is, he will no doubt be nearby. The elven woman was strangely tree-like in the vision. She mentioned a place called the Golden Grove. The druids of the Golden Grove told me that High Ovate Erona often ventures to Elmshore in search of remedies to prolong her life. I suspect that Erona is the elven woman from the vision. I have killed Archdruid Breshtin, the dwarf from Berat's vision. So this was the dwarf in the Ethic Knoll cave, and we killed them all because of their sacrifices. I'm not sure I want to kill this lady. I don't think she's evil, but we're gonna wait and see what happens. We're gonna check out... Whoa, wait, Durance is talking to me.
What is it, Watcher?
Durance doesn't seem to recognize you for a second, then blinks, frowns. Does what we learned about Wodica trouble you?
It stinks of her. It is justice, but if her greater purpose was to think Margaret would fall prey to such deceit. And Aethys. Weidwin had always claimed to be invading Deerwood to free it. What if it were true? What if he had come to stop Wodica's plot before it began? Surely Aethys earned his death at Godhammer Citadel, but not for those reasons. Not to keep him silent. If such a thing has brought about this chaos...
Durance tilts his head as if listening to an inner voice. Then he frowns, the frown deepening as he speaks.
Must we always be tools of gods? If Wodica and Margrin, if they are the cause of this, the Hollowborn, if the purges were never necessary, if Aethys was fighting back...
Then your Godhammer didn't save Deerwood, it doomed it.
So many lies. And Wodica, perhaps she is the next god to fall beneath the Godhammer.
Would it have been better had you been spared this knowledge?
No, I am glad to have walked this far with you, seen this truth. Perhaps it was what I was meant to see, with a watcher's eyes. All these dances of words and intrigues, machines of men, twisted, ripping the souls of children, and by the gods, the goddess of justice. If I could end her like Aethys, Margrin burned her once. One can do so again. Wodica, she must answer to her own justice.
Justice or revenge?
Anyone with a shred of spirit seeks both justice and punishment. It burns in the heart of anyone who lives. All seek it. If the world does not balance, we all drown in the oceans. And the gods would not care. Margrin, she must be redeemed. And punishing Wodica, that will serve.
I'm too scared to make this kind of accusation. I'm not entirely sure of this. Do we know that Margaret was not a willing accomplice?
Is this some final joke at my expense? To test my faith further? And why would you think that, Watcher?
Okay, so let's see. This one doesn't seem right to tell Durance right now. Because she didn't want anyone to know how the Godhammer had been made. No one knows how it came to be, except few among Magran, like yourself. You said you left Ashfall without telling anyone of your departure. The others who made the Godhammer, they all died, didn't they? That's why I saw their symbols fade from your staff. Let's go with this one because this one is factual. The others who made the Godhammer, they all died, didn't they? That's why I saw their symbols fade from your staff. So this is tied to his quest.
If all you have are questions, Then I have enough of those. She is a bitch of a goddess to be sure, but even a whore only goes so far in crossing those she serves.
Because she didn't want anyone to know how the God Hammer had been made. No one knows how it came to be except few among Magran, like yourself.
You answer a question with a question. Then why did I feel her disappointment at Halgot? Why were we shamed?
Because I think she tried to kill you there.
Kill me? She is a goddess. I still drink from her burning breasts, Watcher. If she wished me dead, she could trace me to my source and kill me.
I'm curious, if I had done something differently along the game, would I have a different answer here? I'm not certain, it's just a feeling I have.
That is all you have, a feeling. If feelings provoked me to say every thought that crossed my mind, get gone, and leave me to my thoughts.
Not sure this went well. Not sure at all. Learning that Wodica is responsible for Wide One's legacy leaves many questions about the circumstances of the Saints' War and the destruction of Eothas. Durance may have further insight. Durance was unsettled in discussing Wodica's plot and the death of Eothas. It seems probable that Magran would have been in league with Wodica, given that the God Hammer was Magran's work. But Durance still seems to be in denial. If I can make the case to him using his own words as my evidence, I may be able to break Magran's hold over him. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, let's go for Rimmergand. So I think that this guy is all life ends in stillness. You feel a sudden gust of cold air, as if the shrine were bursting into wintry life. The frigid wind cuts through you like a sharpened blade, and darkness encroaches upon the edges of your sight. You kneel and close your eyes. As you pray, the blackness fades to white, and the howling wind fills your ears. The vision that slowly resolves itself is of a broad, frozen plain. You see a procession of elves in the distance, periodically fading into and emerging from the whiteness. They trudge over snowbanks, their heads down against the driving winds. As they track past you, one man bundled in furs turns his head. You headed for Noonfrost and the frost-hewn breach too. Before you can answer, he's lumbered ahead. You follow the caravan, and in a couple of minutes you come to a wall of ice. It disappears into the pale emptiness overhead and stretches as far as you can see in either direction. The elves stop in front of a mirror-smooth section that's framed like a temple door. It seems somehow thinner than the rest of the wall. You can't see what's on the other side, but a debilitating cold emanates from within. The elves pull pickaxes and shovels from their sealskin packs and begin hacking at the smooth ice, their implements flying through the air in swift, shining arcs. Though they throw their bodies into their labor, not one of them so much as scratches the polished ice. Yet, with each blow, something bellows in the distance. Eder calls out to the elves, "Hey, you might want to hold off on that." But the howling wind seems to swallow up his voice. The elves hack away, seemingly oblivious to the furious blowing, and to the tremors under your feet. The snow has risen to your knees. Your legs feel frozen in the drifts. Let's try to get the elves' attention. You grab the nearest elf by the shoulder, shaking her and yelling over the howling winds. You point in the direction of the booming voice, but she only scowls. "Leave us, traveler. We've got to get through. We can't stay on this side any longer." "But you haven't even chipped the ice." "I know. That's why we've got to keep working." She turns away from you to take another swing. I guess we wait? Or, well, let me try this again. Intent on their work, the elves ignore you. So they might be bringing something very, very bad into our world, so let's attack them. You strike the nearest elf and he crumbles into a mound of snow. You attack another and she falls just as easily. While you cut down the elves around you, their fellows continue cleaving at the ice, working faster. Even their redoubled efforts seem futile. When the last of the elves fall, the bellowing finally ceases and the wind dies down. A final gale blows past, scattering the remains of the elves in a chaotic flurry. You notice a single spiderweb crack in the smooth barrier. It's the only thing that mars the perfect surface of the ice. Whatever's on the other side of this strange doorway, you feel it tugging at you. Only when you look back and see the parallel gashes trailing behind your legs in the snow do you realize how strong its pull is.
My end comes to all things in time. Seal the frost-hewn breach and instruct the pilgrims in the patience of Remergond.
Plug the hole with a handful of snow? You fill your hand with snow and shove it into the crack. It hardens instantly, and the hoary rime grows over the smooth surface of the frozen doorway, fusing it with the rest of the wall. When you take your hand away, a perfect crystal of ice remains in your palm. As you examine the crystal, the vision around you fades, but the unmelting shard of ice remains in your hand. We have a new quest, Into the White Void. Rimmergan showed me a vision of a gate, the Frost-hewn breach, and the pale elves trying to open it. In the vision, the elves crumbled into snow, and I sealed the gate with an ice crystal that I still had when the waking dream ended. I found Noonfrost, Rimmergan's temple in Oldsong. The Frost-hewn breach must be here. When I find it, I can use the shard from the vision to close it according to Rimmergan's wishes. Okay, so that's the one thing that I tried to interact with and I couldn't. And if I tab, I can just see. Okay. So Galawain is the last one. Pray to Galawain. And I think Galawain is like, survival of the fittest and all that. Survival begins with strength from within. The air around you stirs, and a gust of warm wind blows across the back of your neck. You catch the faintest smell of wet earth. As you kneel in front of the shrine, you feel yourself pushed forward. You catch yourself on your hands and knees, feeling warm, damp ground beneath them. Looking around, you find yourself crouched in a clearing in the middle of the woods. The smell of dirt hangs heavy in the air. You feel certain this is a vision, but the hairs on the nape of your neck still rise. Something leaps from the bushes. You find yourself pinned on your back and staring into the amber eyes of a massive hound. The beast looks at you. Gleaming fangs protrude from the side of its mouth. Its nose twitches as it inhales your scent, starting at your shoulder and proceeding down the length of your arm. You follow its nose to your hand, which is covered in blood. A tongue as red and meaty as a steak lolls out of its mouth and swipes your bloody hand. Its lips curl into what looks like a smile. The beast looks back at you, and as it fixes you with its glowing eyes, its muzzle retreats into a long, bearded face, and its pointed ears lengthen, dropping to the sides of its head. What was a massive hound becomes a giant of a man, his broad, muscled shoulders draped with furs. He holds a flint knife to your neck and grins, revealing a row of long, pointed teeth.
You have slain 2 mighty hunters. Blood flows in the maw, yet no victor emerges. Why have you denied me my champion?
So this is related to the quest in Galawain's Maw, where we killed both the bear and the lioness. And he's asking why have I denied him of his champion. I'm gonna go with the third one. I think this is the one that's gonna resonate the most with him. If both beasts were so weak, then neither was worthy.
Worthiness is proven in conflict. Might grappling with might. Flesh tears, bones break, and the ones that mend are stronger still. Blood mixes, and the worthier substance rises to the top. And you have proven worthy.
Good. He lets out a howl that rings through the air. He lowers his head, puffs of steams rising from his panting mouth. Twigs crunch and branches snap. The ground shivers under the weight of pacing, prowling footsteps. A dozen beasts, bears, wolves, and long-fanged cats, stalk out of the undergrowth, their matching amber eyes fast on you. Some of them look real soft. I bet I could tame 1 or 2. As the beasts encircle you, their master rises to his feet. Even the largest of the bears can only reach his browned and muscle-knotted shoulders. You stand, mindful of the ring of predators surrounding you.
You sought and won the favor of Galawain. What new prey do you now pursue?
I must stop Theos X Arcanon from feeding thousands of souls to Odica. A sudden blast of heat scalds your face, and even as you turn away, a flash of light sears your vision through your eyelids. When you look back, you see a woman in full plate standing next to Galawain. Oh? Berath?
So you know.
Magran?
No doubt one of the others has already enlisted you, and with a different purpose. Nevertheless, hear us.
Track Theos. Follow the trail he has left for you, and corner him in sun and shadow.
You must stop him before he empowers Woodica.
And if you do, you will have a different decision
Whoa.
to make.
Abaddon is also here. In Abaddon's crude yet efficient form, you see an uncanny resemblance to the Eyeless. Yet his limbs are more finely wrought, his joints more flexible. You also feel the essence of the Eyeless teeming within him. Elot's eyes widen. The gods mean to leave this in our hands?
Souls were ripped from the world, ripe and full and pulsing with essence. Scatter them like bones to a pack of dogs. Their essence will strengthen the souls of the Deerwood. Let the remains of the dead feed the survivors.
I'm not sure I like that option. Why would I feed the lost soul's essence to the rest of the Deerwood? If Fodi can accomplish this, then perhaps she deserves her victory. What? Why would I feed the lost soul's essence to the rest of the Deerwood?
To breed strength. Power is born from the mixing of essence and blood.
The wolves snarl and snap.
What Theos did cannot be undone. Thousands of lives have changed, and thousands more have ended because of his actions. But transformation gives purpose to trial.
And improvement is the goal of all Kith. Long lives, prosperous futures, stronger minds and bodies. Strengthening those who remain will help repair the damage that Theos has done to the Deerwood.
God damn it. Now I'm kind of inclined to go with Abaddon. Because at the same time, if I go with Helia and I put the souls back into the people who lost them, what's gonna happen? We're gonna have like children of all ages receiving the soul of an infant? How would that play out, you know? I thought you served the cause of preservation, Abaddon.
Essence cannot remain in a dead body, any more than oil in a broken jar. Even though the stolen lives cannot be preserved, their essence can be used to ensure the survival of the Deerwooden remnant. Thus, the memory and vision of the lost may live beyond them. This is the nature of preservation.
Now, I've got to find Theos.
And when you descend the pit to sun in shadow, you can count on our assistance to see you safely through. As I hope we can count on yours when you reach the bottom. There are many souls upon the burial isle that are sworn to serve us. They belong to you now, and they shall guide your descent.
Durance's face is grave. Beware the promises of a god, Watcher. They are binding, but only in one direction. The beasts grow restless, pawing the ground and eyeing you with renewed interest. The bear sniffs at the ground next to your leg. Once Telgar skulls into the circle, its amber eyes glowing. Galawain hurls his knife between your feet, sinking it to its handle. He raises his empty hand.
Hunt him, mortal. And when you stop him, let the souls he has captured feed the Deerwood.
Strengthen the souls of those who remain. Prepare them to face the challenges that will follow. Pledge that you will do this, and we will grant you a power fit for the finest warrior who ever lived.
Betray us, and my beast shall track you down. Our allegiance is not to be accepted and cast aside.
So yeah, the same thing. You can pledge to all of them and then betray them. I don't know what the consequences are though. That's the part I'm interested in. I would hear what the other gods have to say first.
Consider and calculate, but decide.
Galawain's hand falls and the growling pack lunges into the circle. The vision vanishes in an instant, returning you to Ter Evron, where burning candles replace the glowing eyes of Galawain's beasts. Okay, so we can have the support already from Hylia, and also from Galawain, Magran, and Abaddon. But I'm going to complete Rimmergan's quest to see what he also has to offer, and I'm going to do the same thing for Berath. And we've pretty much already... Oops. What is this?
Stop right there.
Iovara.
You're in the wrong city, Inquisitor.
Oh?
Did you think you wouldn't be recognized here in your old home? I've seen your trials with my own eyes.
Sorry, I was drinking coffee. I have seen you light pyres with good people tied to them. People I'd known many a year. He seizes you by the throat and your airway tightens. Whether real or imagined, you cannot tell. They deserve your confession. He raises the point of his sword, holding it a hair's breadth from your eye.
Suros, what are you doing?
This is Iovara. I think we've heard about Iovara before. Or maybe I'm just remembering her name from my previous playthroughs. Startled, the soldier releases you immediately and turns to face the speaker. A woman in a plain wool tunic, fully a head shorter than he, but somehow seeming to tower over him. You have seen this woman's face before, but from afar, bloodied and burned as she lay stretched across an iron wheel. At the moment, it is marked only with concern.
An assassin sent by the Inquisition, my lady, daring to approach our camp.
Oh, come on. If he is so poor an assassin as to approach an armed guard in daylight, I should have nothing to fear. I would hear what this man has to say. She stares him down until he can no longer face her. He turns away, sour-faced, watching you through sidelong glances, his knuckles white around the pommel of his sword.
Surely this is some trick of my mind. I did not expect to see you again.
Okay, so we are an Inquisitor working under the command of Theos. And we can either lie to her. I think we're just playing out a scene here. I don't think it matters what we choose. Let's just open up. Grand Inquisitor Theos X Arcanon dispatched me here to spy on you. Iovara doesn't blink. Are things as desperate as that over there? I'd never have known. I hope your next assignment is more stimulating. Listening to my lectures is dull work for a spy. It's good to have an old friend back all the same. It's lonelier than you might expect, changing your friends for followers. Whatever your reasons, I've missed you over all these years. Having you here now, at a time when I'm surrounded by strangers, is a wonderful gift. I would like for you to
stay here in our camp as my guest.
Sorry.
My lady Iovara, I beg of you. This is an Inquisitor. This is a desperate attempt on your life. The only way it can succeed is if you allow it to.
This is a missionary, same as I was. Taught the wrong things as I was. If I can't have faith in one man's ability to reason, once he knows the truth, what hope do we have?
Yeah, you're both right, but you're underestimating what people can do.
My lady, he admits being a spy.
That should make him less of a threat, wouldn't you agree? I have nothing to hide. All I see here is an opportunity to persuade someone who could help us. We have many former missionaries here. They are our most loyal, our most helpful. Many have died for us. These are not people we should be turning away. And if the Inquisition wants my life, they can have it. But they know as well as I do that my cause will not die with me. Come. We have much to talk about.
So she invited a spy into her midst and then she got killed. Go figure. Okay, did something update with this? Not here. And also not here. Okay, I gotta learn more about that Iovara lady. So we're gonna go into Old Song. We're gonna go into Noonfrost and we're gonna seal that hole of ice. So naturally the what's the word for this? The way to do this quest with the best kind of progression would probably be, once you get to Twin Helms, you go into Ter Evron, you speak to the gods, and then they will give you these quests. And then you will go and discover Galloway's Maw, you will go discover Noonfrost, the Helios Temple. And I think things might make a little bit more sense. But the way it's done, it still makes sense. But you have to kind of backtrack a bit and just, you know, run around an empty building. But at the same time, it's not much work. All I have to do here is I've defeated all of the enemies in this area, so I just go up here into the shrine and it's done. A pedestal of black ice rises from the floor. Long, finger-like ice crystals, as hard and clear as a diamond, surround and pierce the altar. A hole has been gouged out of the middle of the altar. Though it can't be more than a few inches deep, it sucks at the air around you. And this is something that I thought at the start I had to use a key or something, but it's actually to use Rimmergan's shard. So plug the hole with Rimmergan's shard. The shard fits perfectly. As it settles into place, the cold around the altar dissipates. Similarly, the portal before you seems to thicken, and the mysterious sea page tapers off. There we go. We have closed the portal. The frost-hewn breach lies dormant, now nothing more than a perfectly smooth wall of ice. We can also see that the effect of the snow and the cold have gone away, and we gained major reputation with Twin Helms and extraordinary reputation with the Fangs. Because while doing their quests and talking to them, you would learn that the cold was kind of, you know, hurting everything and everyone. So closing that off naturally was an improvement for them all. With this one done, I could either go back to Ter Evron and talk to Rimmergand. I can never get the name right, man. But I still have the quest for Berath, which is a servant of death. Rimmergand. I've completed the task Rimmergand gave me. Now I can return to Ter Evron to ask for his blessing. Okay. But the servant of death means I have to go into the Golden Grove. No, sorry, I have to go into Helmshore and find High Ovate Erona. And I have to kill her. I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't need to be like a violent kill or something like that, that maybe she will just accept that her time is up and she needs to, you know, move on from this life to give way for a new one. Instead of me just having to straight up just murder her. But we will see. I'm simply gonna park my characters in Helmshore. so that I know where we have to pick it up tomorrow in the next episode. And the idea is that I'm going to complete this quest. I think it should be over here. I'm going to complete this quest. I'm going to go back to Evron and report back to Rimergand and Berath both to see what they have to say and, you know, listen to what they want out of this, what they want us to do with the souls, and how can they help us. And then we're going to have a big decision to make, which is, which god are we actually going to plead to? Because, like I said before, you can promise them all that you are going to do what they are asking and then betray them, which is kind of a bad result, which carries over to Pillars of Eternity 2. Or you can, you know, go the honest route, which is what I intend to do, in the way that you just pledge to a single god and you fulfill that promise, and that way nothing backfires later. But yeah, it's gonna be tough for me to choose because I was kind of going for Hylia, but there's also some logic to what Galawain and Magran and Abaddon were saying. So yeah, I'm gonna have to think about it. As always, my friends, I want to thank you all for being here in the channel with me, watching some Pillars of Eternity. If you guys have any questions or suggestions, if you guys want to share which god makes the most sense to you, which one you usually choose, or I don't know, which ones you would think would make the most sense on this run to choose, leave a comment below. I would love to read your thoughts. If you guys are liking the content, consider subscribing for more. There's videos coming out every single day. And I hope to see you all in the next episode. Until then, stay safe, everyone.